Hello, my name is Jenna Ragsdale, and I am a writer, I am an author, and I am a poet. I was born and raised in Reading, Pennsylvania, in the United States. I'm the author of poetry chapbook 23 Summers of Sarah. My pen names include Jenna Youse Ragsdale, the Jenna Jar, and my personal favorite, the Flower Power Poet. Having always dreamed of writing for a living someday, I studied at Kutztown University of PA, earning my Bachelor of Arts degree in professional writing slash English, a minor in literature, and a concentration on poetry. I grew up in a small town outside of Reading, in between Philly and Lancaster, surrounded by the warmth and wisdom of my working class family. My mom often said, "We might not have the best and we might not have the worst, but we have the middle, and that's a nice place to be." Simultaneously, whenever we were truly having a great time as a family or at the shore, my dad would excitingly remark that this is what it's all about. I'm not sure if they knew it then, but those words were stitched into my heart and threaded into all the fibers of my being way back when, and they still reign true today. These conscious and beautifully appreciated moments amongst what may have been a rough week or few days are the framework of the life-inspired poetry that I craft pretty much on the daily, every single day of my life. I zoom way in to celebrate moments that some may consider ordinary, though when zooming way back out at the full scope of life, I highlight these as the best snapshots of my entire life. Writing has been my passion since I was a child, and I have always been mesmerized by the power of a great story. From movies to fairy tales, I find inspiration in these narratives, and I hope to evoke similar feelings in others. Reading and writing are my escapes. They allow me to discover new realms and assume different identities, escaping into the pages of a book, a Lifetime movie, or hey, even a good old-fashioned reality show. As much as I love storytelling, it's poetry that keeps the tempo of my soul. Writing poetry has been a source of solace and comfort during the most challenging times of my life. It's a beautiful reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. This realization is powerful, and it is what draws me to write poetry that can resonate deeply with every and all of my readers. I specialize in free verse poetry, as I do not like to limit myself. I love playing with language, rhythm, metaphor, and line breaks. I often experiment with different word choices. I'll shake up the syllables, and depending on my mood, using or maybe even not using certain punctuation marks. I thrive off the challenges of constantly challenging my writing abilities and growing and adding to my poetic palette as much as possible. Recently, I've been exploring and actively composing micro poetry. I'm often long-winded, so this has been hard for me to craft these brief, clear, and impactful lines, stanzas, or poems, hence why I lovingly call them my post-it note poems, or my love letters to the universe, as they remind, teach, and offer moments of escape to breathe during the chaos that is our daily lives, or that are our daily lives. Inspiration for my writing comes from all around me, in the natural sense and my own experiences, the story of my friends and family, as well as fragments of conversations randomly overheard. The world is full of inspiration, waiting to be discovered, and I find joy in weaving these details into my poetry and creating long, impactful connections with my readers. My biggest influences, other than my family and friends, and of course music, range from S.E. Hinton, Bob Dylan, E.E. Cummings, Jewel, Joni Mitchell, Sylvia Plath, Langston Hughes. I mean, I could go on and on. All I know is that in 7th grade, we had to read The Outsiders, which of course was written by S.E. Hinton. This forever altered my life's course, as I longed to affect the readers, as I was heartbroken and just crushed at the demise of the character of Johnny Cade. It affected me so truly and so deeply. And not to mention This was my first introduction to the wonders of Robert Frost and his incredible poetry. And then that leads me to Bob Dylan, my favorite, in all honesty, of every type of the word, considering music, poetry, just anything, fashion even. I love him. I mean, his lyrics, his attitude, the way he played his harmonica, changing from folk or not folk, rock and roll, just going electric. I absolutely love his life's work. I like how they wake up different parts of me that I never knew existed, and that's what I try to do in my own poetry. And of course, I can't forget E. E. Cummings, as his line breaks and use or not use of punctuation is quite evident in most of my poems, and also in my use or non-use of capitalization. Currently, I am focusing on honing my craft, and as always, writing, editing, rewriting, editing, maybe even deleting, and starting the process over and over and over again, though I do it happily. In addition, I'm working on my next collection of poetry, amping up my author website and spreading my poetry as far as I possibly can. The hardest part of writing is knowing when to put my pen down or hit the save button, hit send, print, publish, or even good old-fashioned Control-Alt-Delete, or just erase the whole thing. Once it's set into the universe, that's it. I can't do anything about it. And that's both freeingly powerful, but also heartbreaking, because from that point forward, I can no longer edit that particular piece or line or ending of a line. However, what I can do is take notes on what I learned and use it for my next piece of prose. Another part of writing that I find is quite rough is knowing that somewhere in this over-caffeinated, high-strung, over-worried mind of mine, that I do possess the starting, middle, or end lines of a particular poem or phrase, but it just won't come together in that moment or day. However, like most great art, it all may or may not come together in time. It's always a work in progress, if you will. And if I could give advice to my younger self, I would tell myself, Jenna, stop being so hard on yourself. Only join the clubs that you want to. Calm down. Your writing stands on its own. Believe in yourself and enjoy yourself, because straight A's are not the end-all and the be-all to life. I feel as though every line that I write or start to format within a new poem, it's like an unconventional process in itself, as it's unconventional because I'm an entirely different person than I was the day before. It truly depends on how I found the inspiration for that particular poem. At times, it could start with a free write or a reread of an unfinished poem. Maybe walking into a gas station, overhearing someone talking on the phone, or writing a text. Or maybe a song will play on the radio, sparking the poetic plugs in my brain. For the times when I'm feeling uninspired, I will just put it down for a few days, or close my notes app, or just literally remove my notebook from my bed, because sometimes nothing is exactly what a writer needs to refuel. Also, it doesn't help much that when it's cold out and your favorite place to write is outside, connecting with Mother Nature and all the beauty that she offers. But those are the times that I break out a little Bob Dylan, maybe Regina Spektor, some musicals, or recently the Vitamin String Quartet Pandora Station, as it often does a trick to put me either into maybe a happy or maybe a sad mood, whatever I need. Nonetheless, I'm constantly and always working on at least 20 poems at a time. The best reaction that I have ever gotten from any of my writing or poems or stanzas or newspaper articles or literature magazine pieces, in all honesty, are any type of reaction at all. Depending on the poem, tears are awfully rewarding. Or if it's heartfelt and exposing, maybe a stranger in my inbox emailing me or messaging me to check up on me. or even a family member being like, yo, you good girl? It's all a reward in itself. Any reaction to my poetry means I am seen, I am heard, and I am cared for. Abstract or not, isn't that the whole point of life anyway? My poetic vision is always aimed to touch as many hearts as humanly possible, offering comfort, bravery, and a warm, safe space for introspection. I thank you for joining me on this poetry journey. Now I invite you, if you may or if you want, to explore my poetic garden on Instagram and TikTok at Jenna Ragsdale Poetry. Immerse yourself in the sunlit verses of my poetry book, 23 Summers of Sarah, that is available on Amazon or directly through my website. Visit jennaragsdale.com for updates on my newest writing adventures, and stay tuned for my upcoming collection of linguistic blooms. I thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sending you all love, light, and everything in between. Good night.